Folks, we're going to get ready. Introduce yourself and explain some. Take a deep breath.
My name is Taysom Dome. I'm in the Market Street Cooperative Medical Cannabis Dispensary. We're here in front of the federal building today to let Melinda Haig know and the federal government these attacks on the medical cannabis community will not be tolerated. Sending out threatening letters to landlords will not be tolerated. They need to stop, they need to cease, and the persecution of medical cannabis patients, growers, and dispensaries throughout the state of California and nationwide needs to stop.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a brief statement. One of our member patients, Michael Petrolis, is going to speak, and Mary Ingram as well. And then we'll be available for comments and questions. We are here today to condemn the heartless attacks on the medical cannabis community. The United States Department of Justice, despite promises to channel their limited funds towards more important targets, is forcibly evicting law-abiding dispensaries using the hollow claim of harm to nearby schools and playgrounds. Who will benefit from these attacks? Certainly not the thousands of patients who will find themselves back in the streets, where their personal safety and quality of cannabis is equally at risk. Nor will these attacks benefit the hundreds of employees to be added to the growing number of unemployed. And certainly not the anemic California economy that has received tens of millions of dollars in tax revenue. It was in San Francisco that the legislation of Proposition 215 was first drafted. It was in San Francisco that cannabis patients, providers, and city officials joined forces to create a safe, effective model for licensing and monitoring dispensaries that has been adopted throughout the state. That model continues to be implemented nationwide as more voters, state by state, say yes to medical cannabis. Presently, 15 states and the District of Columbia have voted in favor of medical cannabis. How many states will it take? 30, 40, all 50 before the federal government accepts that medical cannabis is here to stay? These patients here today do not have time to wait.
Yeah.
These patients have depended upon us for over a decade to provide them with medicine that is affordable and consistent in quality. Patients dealing with chronic illness know that medical cannabis is often the last resort when pharmaceutical pills with toxic side effects have failed to alleviate their pain. This latest routine of forcing landlords to evict law-abiding clubs will drive sick and disabled patients back into the streets to find relief from their suffering. While the great invader George W. Bush was in office, the medical cannabis community lived in constant fear of raids and closure. It is depressing and enraging that under the great invader Barack Obama, this fear has become a reality.
Yeah.
In 2008, on a platform of Change We Need, presidential hopeful Obama stated he would not use Justice Department resources to circumvent state laws on this issue. This destructive policy change is a giant step backward. This is not the change we voted for.
All right, I'm better, but you know, you and I have to talk. Okay?
Talk about that.
Actually, this here was another patient that's been taken to federal custody because he also provided medicine for sick and dying patients. This is becoming an epidemic, and it is killing hundreds, if not thousands, of patients. Believe me, medical cannabis cures and these clubs are vital for the existence of people that are sick and dying.
Any complaints. We will not be vilified as drug dealers, criminals, or profiteers who lack compassion. Federal intervention is not warranted where there is no harm. Melinda Haig should be ashamed of using children as political pawns to further her career on the backs of the sick, disabled, and poor. Despite numerous independent studies, the federal government continues to cling to the absurdly false notion that cannabis has, quote, no currently acceptable medical use, end quote. Our federal government should join us in the 21st century. Quit wasting time, money, and other valuable resources and reschedule cannabis now. These letters to landlords must cease as well as the attacks on medical cannabis patients, growers, and dispensaries.
Yeah. Thank you, Tate. My name is Michael Petralis. I'm both a gay activist and a person living with AIDS. And before I give a little speech, I want to get us to give a round of cheer for Tate, Andrea, Floyd, C-Star, Nadia. Let's hear it for the workers of Market Street Co-op. Come on, Market Street. These folks who run the Market Street Co-op have been doing so for more than a decade, helping keep a lot of people with different diseases and illnesses happy and alive. They recently discussed how the federal government is cracking down on the Market Street Co-op and other medical marijuana dispensaries because they are supposedly too close to schools. Well, I did a walk around a 2-block radius of the Market Street Co-op, and the number of alcohol venues within a 2-block radius of the school that is the reason for shutting down the Market Street Club comes to a total of 13 establishments where those kids are exposed to alcohol and the abuses of alcohol. That is not okay.
Don't forget the churches are right next to school.
Now,
The priests are right next to school. They have a trap record too.
as a person with AIDS, here are the drugs that I am taking right now. This bag full of AIDS drugs costs the American taxpayer $3,000 a month to give me these drugs. To offset the side effects of these AIDS drugs for also keeping my pursuit of happiness intact, I used a little bit of medical marijuana.
Thank you.
Why is the federal government saying I can't have this, but I can have a bag full of this overpriced pharmaceutical drugs? I want both the AIDS drugs and my medical marijuana. Thank you.
With the students that use medical cannabis because it helps them, and we are very unfortunate to lose a very good dispensary, but you know, we'll get our time in the spotlight again.
Cannabis patient, and for me, medical cannabis is literally a matter of life or death. I have a paralyzed digestive tract and am unable to absorb nutrients without medical cannabis, and I'm not able to tolerate the pharmaceutical drugs. So medical cannabis is really the only thing that's keeping me alive and keeping nutrients in my body.
Yeah.
It's a shame that our government is going after sick people to make a point, but they're not going after any recreational cannabis stuff. They just attack sick people because we're an easy target and we're out in the public. Taking medical cannabis from sick people kills people. It's a matter of life or death. When all the clubs are shut down, I have no place to go to get it. I'll be stuck without it. So I think that the government should take a second look at what they're doing and realize that it's not about being close to schools. It's not about sick people or people who aren't sick getting medical cannabis. It's really about life or death for many of us. Thank you.